Right, everybody, welcome back to Miller Time. It's that time again for another deep dive, and this week we are going to be looking at this week's Toolbox talk. We've got the email, we've got the PDF, and as always, a lot to unpack, so let's just jump right in.
It's kind of interesting how you see these big dramatic accidents grab all the headlines. It's always the dropped load or the crane collapse that seems to get everybody, really talking. But I think what we really need to focus on are the everyday hazards, the ones that maybe aren't as dramatic, but are actually the cause of, most of the injuries that we see.
Right, yeah, like the stuff that can really sneak up on you. You're on a job site, things are moving fast, maybe the ground's a little slick, and suddenly, a swinging load comes a little too close for comfort, or maybe you're handling a heavy piece of rigging and it throws you off balance. These minor incidents can turn serious in a hurry.
Absolutely. And this week's Toolbox Talk PDF really highlights, some of those often overlooked hazards. So, swinging loads, manually handling those heavy rigging components, holding on to tag lines, even just moving equipment around the site. It all adds up. And then you've got, your pinch points, working on elevated surfaces, trip hazards. Always a concern.
Okay, so we're getting a good sense of what can go wrong here.
Yeah.
But what about some of the solutions? What does the PDF recommend?
Well, first and foremost, it emphasizes the importance of proper training. And not just for the folks operating the crane or the riggers, but everyone in the work area. Everyone needs to understand the hazards and how to stay safe.
Right. Makes sense. Everyone needs to be on the same page.
Yeah.
So what else? What are some of the specific safe work practices that the PDF highlights?
Well, having a lift plan is crucial, even if it seems like, just an extra step.
Okay, so it's not just about knowing how to rig the load,
Yeah.
but planning the entire lift from start to finish, thinking about the path, the surroundings, all of that.
Precisely. It's taking a moment to assess the situation and anticipate, potential problems before they happen. The PDF also really stresses the importance of inspecting all rigging before use. And I mean really inspecting it.
Okay, so we're not just talking about a quick glance here. We're talking about actually, getting up close and personal with the rigging.
Exactly. And not just once, but continuously throughout the day. Things can get damaged, wear and tear happens. Look for any nicks, cuts, fraying. Make sure that capacity tag is legible.
Speaking of capacity tags, we've all seen those faded, barely there tags clinging to a chain somewhere. That is definitely not a good sign.
Definitely not. And if you find anything faulty, immediately remove it from service and the job site. No exceptions. We can't afford to be complacent when it comes to safety.
So this isn't just about, following the rules. This is about taking care of ourselves and each other, which brings us to another point that the PDF emphasizes. It's that shared responsibility.
That's right. We all have a role to play in keeping each other safe.
And that kind of brings us back to the email, which specifically mentioned last week's incident with the faulty rigging. No keepers on the hooks. That's a serious issue.
Yeah, it is. And it really underscores the importance of those seemingly small details. Something as simple as a missing keeper can have, significant consequences.
Right. And speaking of the email, there's some other important info in there, too, like the list of upcoming monthly safety meetings. Looks like we got Colorado Springs, Denver, and Pueblo West all scheduled. Still waiting on dates for Greeley and Scott City, though.
Right. And let's not forget to give a shout out to our drivers of the week. Garrett Eakes, Ken Gresham, Keegan Ruiz, Robert Romero, and Juan Aguilar. Keep up the great work, guys.
Absolutely. Those folks deserve some serious recognition. The email also mentioned the CDL training program. Looks like we got a few folks about to graduate, which means there are some spots opening up.
That's great news for anyone looking to get their CDL. Now's the time to reach out to Randy if you're interested.
And a reminder to those who have already started training but haven't been participating recently, you might lose your spot, so don't let that opportunity slip away.
So we've talked about the hazards, the safe work practices, and some of the news and updates from the email. What stands out to you from this week's deep dive? What are some key takeaways that you'll be thinking about as you head out to the job site?
For me, it's that image of the faded, barely legible capacity tag. It's just a stark reminder that even seemingly small details can make a huge difference when it comes to safety.
Absolutely. It's about being vigilant, paying attention to those details, and not being afraid to speak up if something seems off. Because at the end of the day, everyone deserves to go home safe.
Couldn't agree more. And remember, this deep dive was just a quick overview. Make sure you read and sign the actual Toolbox Talk document so you're fully in the loop on all the information.
Good point. It's all there in black and white. Plus, it's always good to refresh our knowledge and stay sharp.
It really, it all comes down to this. We all play a part in creating a culture of safety here at Miller.
Yeah, you got it's about more than just checking boxes. It's about looking out for each other every single day.
So before we sign off, let's hit those key takeaways one more time, just to really drive them home.
All right, number one. If you see something that even seems a little offer, address it. That tag on a sling, barely legible. Take it out of service. A hook looks a bit worn. Don't risk it.
Yeah, it's like that saying, a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. One small oversight can have major consequences, especially when we're talking about lifting and rigging.
Exactly. And number two, communication is key. See something that doesn't look right. Speak up. Don't assume someone else will handle it.
We all have a voice and a responsibility to use it. And remember, everyone, this deep dive was just a quick overview. The full details are in that Toolbox Talk document, so make sure you read it, sign it, and really let the information sink in.
Yeah, it's all there in black and white, ready to help us stay safe and informed.
All right, thanks for joining us for another episode of Miller Time. Stay safe out there, everyone.